Those in favor that the bill be read the second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The nays have it.
This decision by the Senate to block a bill seeking equal rights for women got Nigerians talking. The bill, titled Gender Parity and Prohibition of Violence Against Women, sought equal rights for women in marriage, education, and jobs. And that will be our focus on the program today. Welcome to Channels Beam. I am Victor Matthias. But before we begin, let's remind you of the trends in the social media in the past week. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, conducted rerun elections in Rivers State, and that got Nigerians from all around the world tweeting and monitoring events as they unfolded during the elections. A whistleblowing report by two newspapers exposed the secret employment of 909 new members of staff into the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, including children and relatives of some influential Nigerians and a nephew of President Muhammadu Buhari. However, in a swift reaction, the Apex Bank said it was engaged in a targeted recruitment. Wow, it seems only the lucky ones were targeted in this recruitment exercise. Well, back to the business of the day. Joining me to look at this matter is Zara Musa. She is an engineer and a research scientist.
Good afternoon. Thanks for inviting me.
Also joining us is Abimbola Junaid. She is a development and policy specialist.
Thank you for having me.
Well, Zara, let me just begin with you. First and foremost, take us through what the implications of this bill not passing through will be, or what it is.
First of all, I would say the reactions have been very positive, mostly. People have actually shown that they would have liked a better debate, and they would have appreciated if the bill was given at least a chance to be understood first before being thrown out of the House. But on the outcome of the bill in the House itself, I would say it's quite unfortunate. There are a number of factors that have, of course, contributed to that. We know now. One of which is the fact that many people didn't know much about it, and it would not be surprising if most of the senators never read it before voting against it. So the outcome has been unfortunate, mostly because of lack of information.
And I think that the Senate needs to think further than just a few excuses that the distinguished senators actually passed in dismissing the bill so rapidly. You know, they haven't talked about the larger consequences in terms of where we are on the global stage. It's 2016, for God's sake. Many more countries are adhering to equality, even though it isn't perfect. They're working towards ensuring there's equality. They're changing the legislations around that. We have signed various treaties across the world. The UN conventions are there. The CEDAW law is there. And most recently is the SDGs, which Goal 5 is about gender equality. And Nigeria did sign up to that. So I think that it doesn't look good on the country's image, and it is reinforcing that women don't have rights and that they can be victims of crime or of violence by perpetrators.
Most of Europe, I would say the whole of it, and of course we know all the countries around Latin America and the Americas themselves also have equal rights for women. And we know that those are the developed parts of the world, for example.
Are really doing well in terms of, it goes back to when there was the general fight, I would say, by women in the United States asking and demanding for their rights after working in a factory shop. And that was what brought about the very first gathering of International Women's Day. And then after, Denmark as a country also had its own national protest by its women. And after that, the legislation of that country changed to support women and men. And in the very recent times, we now realize that they're actually becoming trained in terms of parental leave to look after children at home, which means that they are not totally saying it is only the woman's right that should be entitled to leave. It's going to be about which of the parents can the school get first if the child is running hot. Which of the parents can actually be flexible for that day, and the workplaces where they are wouldn't say, why don't you call your wife or why don't you call your husband? It would be seen as part of their rights to take that leave at work. And I think that's only emphasizes on the fact that the family unit is the most important in any nation. They understand what it means for a child to see both parents being hands-on in care. And I think that is one of the things we should emulate.